Now I am taking time to talk about this guy that made me write IELTS 3 times. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. And I need also need to like this video just to encourage me. Yeah. So this is the third video on IELTS, and today I'm going to be talking about IELTS writing. Like for real, I'm need to wear agbada to do this video. Because this IELTS writing did me strong thing. But don't worry, I mean, it did me strong. It shouldn't do you strong thing. I mean, it was a win-win for me at the end of the day, because even though I had to write the exam 3 times, I became a IELTS tutor. I made some money, and I also got to understanding, and now I'm helping you. All right, so let's talk about IELTS writing. So what is IELTS writing? IELTS writing is that part, like it's another, like you have your listening, you have your reading, you have your writing, and then you have your speaking. So let's talk about IELTS writing. So IELTS writing is like I would normally do, like I talk about the overview. So you have 2 questions, 2 big questions. You have 2 questions, and you have 60 minutes, which is quite similar to reading, because reading and writing, you kind of have 2 minutes, at 60 minutes, like 1 hour. So that sounds good. So, but like when I say 2, what I mean is that it has 2 parts. You have what they call your tax 1 and your tax 2. So what happened in your tax 1 and tax 2? I'm going to be sharing that. I need to also let you know that IELTS General, which is used for Canada relocation or Canada immigration, is different from IELTS academic. Yes, IELTS academic is people use it for schooling. I also know people that are going to UK, like nurses, doctors, had to take IELTS. Yeah, was it doctors? I'm not sure if doctors, but I know of nurses because my students that I coach were nurses. Yeah, so you need your IELTS academic, and it's actually different from each other. Like everything seems quite the same, but it's just the grading. And then when it comes to IELTS writing, the tax 1 is different from tax 1 of academic. So for tax 1 to general, is actually like you'll be writing letter, like it's letter writing. Why tax 1 for academic is not letter writing, it's like graph or map, or it's just more like you're reporting like an academic graph or something like that, but the taxes is the same. So, but let me focus. I'm doing this video for the sake of tax 1 or the sake of the whole writing general. Yeah, I'm not going to like teach in-depthly. What I can just just share some tips around it. And yeah, I feel like with what you've been doing, it will be like a soft landing for you. So what is going on in tax 1 is that basically IELTS even always say for tax 1, like it expected that you spend 20 minutes on your tax 1, and your tax 2 you spend 40 minutes. So that's how you like divide the 60 minutes into I would say you're dividing into 1:2. Yeah, 1:2, like 20 minutes for tax 1 and 40 minutes for tax 2. So your tax 1 basically for anybody taking general is going to be focusing on letter writing, and then for your tax 2 is going to be focusing on essay. So for letter writing, which is for the sake of general, like you have some like 2 things you need to note. Number 1 is that they can decide to give you any type of letter writing, and I feel like the types of letter writing have not changed. You have what we call the informal letter, you have your formal letter, you have your semi-formal letter, yeah, and then you have your formal letter. Some people say that there's no semi-formal letter, but any which way, it can be formal or it can be informal. So what is formal is a letter you're writing to somebody you're not close to, that is not your friend. Yeah, why informal letter is a letter they're writing to your friend. Yeah, so you literally see, because I is not going to tell you that this letter you're going to be writing on is going to be formal. You see by the expression. So any letter that I say, write a letter to your friend, you should know that it's an informal letter. Yes, the reason why I kind of put in semi-formal letter is the fact that there are some people like you're actually close to, but yet it's not your friend, like your colleague, but really colleagues, everybody will say that your colleagues are not meant to be your friend. But it depends on you. But for the sake of this exam, really, any letter that is not written to your friend is a formal letter. So also you have your word count. So for the word count for tax 1, be general or be academic, is actually 150 words. And I can tell you, I am very particular about this 150 words. Yes, it's very particular about the 150 words. It's better to do 180, but I don't advise to do 200, because where is even the time? Like, where is the time? So do 150, do 160, do 170 words, and you're good. So how people be like, how do I know that? Am I going to be counting my words? Yes. I think that is the advantage of writing computer-based, because if you write computer-based, there's an automatic word counter. But if you're doing paper-based, you might need to understand like what is your average words per line, and that is how you're able to achieve. Like for example, if your average words per line is 8 or 10, for example, let's pick 10. If you have your average words per line is 10, so what you're going to be ending up is 15 lines, and that's going to give you 150 words. So for tax two, what is going on in your tax two? Your tax two is essay writing, and there are typically 5 types of essay for IELTS. Number one, we have the opinion essay, you have your discussion essay, you have the problem and solution essay, you have the advantages and disadvantages essay, and you have the double question essay. Now, is IELTS going to tell you, oh, everyone, this is what I'm going to be asking you? No, it's going to, that's why you need to practice and practice around, or because nobody can say which one is going to be given to you. And really, they're not going to tell you that this one is opinion essay. Yeah, nobody's going to tell you. So how do you know? It's through practicing and also getting a feedback. So number one thing is that it's an opinion essay. What comes in is that opinion will come in either do you agree or disagree, or to what extent do you agree. That's like opinion. So for discussion, in the way you will see that discussion, you'll see words like discuss both sides and give your opinion, or discuss both sides only. That is how you know that this one is a discussion essay. So for problem and solution, how do you know that you ask what you saw, state the problems and the solutions? That is how you know. Or they can ask as, they can give the question prompt as state the causes and the solution. So for advantages and disadvantages, how do you know there is an advantage and disadvantages? The question can say that state the advantages, and state the advantages and state disadvantages. Or you can have something like state whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Guys, do you believe that? I've not even opened this IELTS in a long time. Yeah! Like, I feel like I've thought over and over that if you wake me up when I'm sleeping and say, if you come and teach me IELTS, I will definitely teach you. Then you have your double question, like something you say 2 parts, but it's actually double because they're asking something like, oh, is this a good thing? Like they'll make an expression and they ask, is it a good thing? And afterwards they can say that, do you think it's a positive trend or is a negative trend? That kind of thing. Yeah, sorry. I just noticed like my eyes, my water gland, which is big. Yeah. So let's go on. Another thing I would like to know is that for tax 2, the word count is actually 250 words. Yeah, 250 words. Yeah, 250 words. So what do I advise? I advise that you write between 280 and 290 or 300 maximum. So I've had people say that they want to write 400. But I'm like, where's the time? Where is the time? Where is the time? And really, the more you write, the more you expose yourself to grammatical blunders, and really you'll be writing out of point, because just go straight to the point. So another thing I would say is that what did I do different that made me even have sorry, this is actually distracting. What did I do different that made me had move from 6.5 to 7.0? So one thing is that when I wrote my second, I never knew this document actually exists. And even if I'm tutoring today, that's the first document I share with my students. And that is the public version document by IELTS, where they do like a band description why you have what you have. Like, so you have your scores and you have the marking criteria. So there are actually 4 marking criteria that IELTS choose for writing, and I'm going to be sharing it right away. Number 1 is your tax achievement. Number 2 is your lexical resource. Number 3 is your coherence and your cohesion. Number 4 is your grammatical and accuracy. Really, I don't want this video to be so long, but that's why I'm like pacing up as I'm talking. So you can watch it as many times as you can watch. So what is going on in your tax achievement? Basically, like they want you to achieve the tax that you've been given, like achieve the tax. That's tax achievement. So there are ways to achieve the tax. Is basically you understanding the sector your question belongs, because for every question you have, they belong to several sectors. So you need to know the sector that your question actually belongs. Yes, and then number 2 is that you need, under tax achievement, you need to also know how to structure your words, like structure your sentence. It's not just like you're writing the way you used to write. That's why I say you need feedback, you need a tip, you need a teacher, or you need to actually watch as many videos if you're doing self-study. Yeah, so you need like a structure, which I usually say like it's more like 4-paragraph structure: your introduction, your paragraph 1, your paragraph 2, and your conclusion. And that's so irrespective of what you're writing on. So what's your lexical resource? Your lexical resource is basically focused on your vocabulary, and what happened under that is that we're talking about the choice of your word that fits into the industry that your question belongs, and also the accuracy or the correct spelling of the vocabulary that you're using. So it's not just you using big vocabulary and stuffing it in here and there. It's more or less like using the right vocabulary that matches with what you're talking on. For example, each question usually belongs to a particular sector. So, if you're having your question falling under health sector, so you want to use some words like doctor, medicine, such terminologies that are used in the medical sector. And then also, it's not just enough to write good vocabulary. You also want to make sure that the spellings are correct. You get it. So let's go on to coherence and cohesion. They're like twins, that kind of thing. And it's quite very simple. Coherence basically means that the arrangement, the flow of your points, such a way that, for example, I usually make this analogy like you want to go and buy a phone. Obviously, it's not like you just wake up one day and go and buy a phone. You will definitely do a research. So it's like the way you arrange your points in an orderly expression such that one paragraph is flowing to the next paragraph. While your cohesion is basically like, I usually explain in such a way that, when you want to build house, like you want to build duplex and you're laying blocks on each other, like you need to put cement, like it's not like you just be laying blocks on each other. So your cement is like what gluing together. And that's your cohesion. And it's called cohesion devices. And these are simple that you're used to, which include your use of words like furthermore, in addition to, for example, also, moreover, additionally, those words that you use here, they just to give you like a pause or a good flow down. Like it's not like you're talking straight up, or you can even be as little as in conclusion. Yeah. So that's where your coherence and your cohesion is actually important. So it's not just about having good points. You have to make sure that your points flow to each other, and you have to make sure that your points are laid on each other accurately. So let's talk about your grammatical range and accuracy, which I call it your GRA. So what happened under that is actually two things, which is your punctuation marks and your tenses. So punctuation is very important when it comes to IELTS. You can't just say that even as your full stop and your comma, end every of a sentence with a full stop. It's very important. Like I can just share a screenshot or a link to this band description because you need to study so that you can know why you need to actually study where and how you need to achieve your band 7.0 or band 7.5 or band 8.0 in your writing. It's very possible. I have had one of my students have 7.5, then another person had 8.0, even though I had 7. So I have been able to replicate, like you get better in it. Then your tenses, like you don't need to know all the full tenses, but most importantly, all you have to know is that you need to know the use of your tenses so that you can know when to use your present tense and your past tense accurately. You get it. So what I would just say is that my final words to you is that IELTS writing is not so hard. It's not even hard at all. All you have to do is like you need to really put your mind there because I feel like one of the part of IELTS writing that is it can be challenging is your idea generation, which is because you are seeing the question for the first time, even though you've been practicing with different kinds of questions, but you're also seeing the question for the first time. So what is it? I'm just demystifying, like saying that how to generate your idea is basically like whatever the question that is given onto you, just imagine that you're having a friend in front of you or your close friend or your spouse, and just imagine you're talking about the question. What point can you generate? So don't do deep thinking. There are different ways of generating your questions, your ideas for your point. I mean, your points for your questions that you're giving the exam, or some can say that you treat it as if you're doing a research work, which let me tell you, if you're doing that, 1 hour is not going to be enough for you. So what I would just say is that imagine that you're gisting with a friend over that question. You only need 2 points irrespective. So imagine what will be the point you're going to be saying. So, but yet, I really want to emphasize the fact that you need to actually practice, you need to write. I always make this analogy that just like when you want to drive, like the best way to actually learn how to drive, apart from that, you're going to do some theory or from knowing all those up and downs around it, you also need to drive. It is when you start doing the driving that you know, oh, this is what to do, or this is not what to do. So the same thing also applies to IELTS. Is when you start writing that you get better about it. And I would say this: whenever you want a feedback, I know you don't want to pay an extra tutor because really tutors like us now, we were great. What I'll just say is that don't ask your friends to give you feedback, because especially if you're somebody that you're afraid of criticism, like you don't want people to criticize you or tell you this essay that you have written is bad. So what I'll just say is that look for somebody that won't pamper you and I'll give you a real judgment, like what do you need to improve on. So look at me, I'm saying I'm wishing you success, and I'm just remaining one video on IELTS, and then I'm hoping I'm going to do a Q&A section. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and please drop your comments. See you in my next video. Bye for now.